Let's get on with the details of those stories now. There's rising opposition by sections of the public against Parliament's proposed ultra-modern 450-seater edifice. The leadership of Parliament, which made the proposal, have justified the project, saying the current facility is unable to accommodate all members in the House as well as ministers of state during functions. Be as it may, the edifice will be constructed because Parliament apparently is already looking for funds to start the project, which is expected to be completed in 3 years, even though many Ghanaians have expressed their disinterest in that. Let's go to Parliament and speak with our parliamentary correspondent, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, who's been reporting that some MPs are kicking against this today. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Joseph. Can you hear me? Hello, Joseph. It looks like we're having a hard time connecting with Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, our parliamentary affairs correspondent, who is standing by to tell us what the members of Parliament have been saying. Let's try this once more and move on if we don't get through to him. Hello, Joseph. Hello, Joseph.
Hello.
Yeah, so tell us about the debate, or if you like, the conversation, and how it's panning out in Parliament. On social media, it's evident that people don't like the idea. A lot of people have spoken, those that we've spoken to have kicked against this as well. We also know that some of the MPs are not in support of this.
Exactly. So for a long time, the debate had not come up on the floor of Parliament itself. But earlier today, there was a statement by the Assin South MP, in Tim Fojo, Reverend, about how Ghana and Canada relations are looking good, and that would be a way for Ghana to learn from Canada when it comes to the development of the country. And in contributing to the statement, a number of MPs sought to draw the link between the kind of chamber that is used in Canada for legislative activities and also that which is used here in Ghana. Kwame Agbodza, for example, mentioned that in Canada, their parliamentary chamber is several years old, and so he doesn't understand why, if Ghana is to learn from Canada, there should be a situation where this current chamber will be collapsed in order to make way for a brand new chamber. And the speaker, in fact, on 2 different occasions, the speakers had to stop the debate because earlier, Alban Bagbin, who was in the seat, his attention was brought to it that people are introducing something that is not exactly on the agenda into the discussion. And subsequently, when Joseph Ozewu also took over the seat, his attention was again drawn to it. And the speakers directed that the leadership of the House, as soon as possible, show up and present a statement to MPs on the plan for this chamber. And in the words of Joseph Ozewu, how the debate is panning out on social media when MPs have not even been fully briefed is sickening. And so he's convinced that an opportunity for leadership to address the issue can help clear the air and set the record straight on a number of the issues. But clearly, on both the majority and the minority side, they are kicking against it. For example, the Deputy Minister for Agriculture, Kennedy Osei-Nyakun, spoke to the media soon after the sitting adjourned, and he indicated that they, on the majority side, will reject any such proposal when it's eventually brought. Patrick Yabuama, who is the MP for Okaikwe North, shares a similar position. And in all the conversations, they're seeking to draw attention to the fact that this is a decision that the MPs had not been consulted on, but then was taken at the level of the Parliamentary Service Board, which has representation from the leadership, both majority and minority, as well as the Speaker, and a number of other people, including the clerk and former of Parliament, Hatman Oswajiman. The decision was taken at that level without the MPs being consulted, but they will kick against it eventually when it's even introduced into the House for any kind of debate.
That makes it a bit interesting, Joseph, because when usually when the minority wants to do something, the majority disagrees. When the majority wants to do something or pushes something, the minority disagrees. So when the concerns are being raised among both the majority and the minority, it becomes interesting. Who then are the ones that are necessarily for the idea?
So the interesting bit is this, that when the whole plan was first announced by Parliament last Friday, he made the announcement flanked by both the majority leader, that's Osei Mensah, and also the minority leader, Harun Idris, at that interaction alongside Sir David Ajayi, who is actually the man who will be doing the construction. So, and in fact, to quote the minority leader, Harun Idris, in contributing to the discussion, he made a number of suggestions on how the new timber should be remodeled, suggesting that there should be the inclusion of prayer areas and what he calls the diplomatic room for former presidents and former speakers of parliament, giving the indication that he agrees on the basis that he's suggesting even additional structures that should be put in there. And again, to quote him, he made the point in that interaction that they, as leadership, will do what they need to do to get the process going. Just as the majority leader, Sir Mensah, who also supported the plan. So, at the level of leadership, there appears to be the full support, and the objection is generally coming from the rank and file and the ordinary members of parliament. Barak Al-Hassan on the majority side, Patrick Yabuama, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture, and even the Information Minister, when he spoke to the media a while ago outside Parliament, he made the point that he also disagrees with the whole suggestion that a new timber block should actually be constructed. The Parliamentary Service Board has representation from the leadership as well as some former members of Parliament and the administrative officials here in Parliament, headed by the Clerk of Parliament, and they took that decision from what we are told.
Did you just say that the Information Minister also disagreed to the construction of the new chamber?
Exactly. He spoke outside Parliament soon after the sitting adjourned.
Okay.
Made that point that he also disagreed.
And then back to the first Deputy Speaker, Jose Usu, who says it is sickening. If you could just clarify a little bit for us so that we can wrap this up. He says he says that debate is sickening, or the feedback. I mean, if you can just throw a bit more light on what he said.
So, in the midst of the conversation around whether the issue should be discussed today and whether the leadership should come and brief MP, he made the point that he thinks he actually gave a directive that leadership should prepare statements and read on the floor and clarify what exactly the plan is for the benefit of MPs and members of parliament. And then he went on to make the point that when he follows the debate on the issue of the new timber as it has played out, particularly on social media, probably because of inadequate information in terms of how things should be done. The debate as it's played out on social media is what he describes as sickening, which he says he hopes that eventually when the leadership briefs MPs and Ghanaians generally on the plan, then it could help clear up here.
So both majority and minority MPs who oppose the construction of this, even though initially we were told that MPs supported this.
Well, initially, the leadership, the minority leader, the majority leader addressed the media alongside the speaker and threw their support behind the project. They didn't make reference as to whether they had the explicit backing of the rank and file in that position that they had taken, when they addressed the media that day. And then what we are seeing now is ordinary members of parliament now kicking against the plan. But information has just gone out that the leadership, the majority leader, the minority leader, will tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. be addressing the media to clear the air and state what exactly the position is. Because one thing we gather again is that earlier this morning, there was a meeting of the majority caucus headed by Sir Mensah. And at that meeting, some of the MPs on the majority side raised up the issue very vociferously and it made the point that they are against the plan and they want that communicated to the Parliamentary Service Board. And so we're waiting to see what the issue will be like eventually when the leadership addresses the media tomorrow as to whether they are backing off or they are taking all the feedback that's coming from their rank and file or or they're going ahead with the process eventually.
Right, Joseph, before I let you go, what other discussions have they been having in the Legislative House today?
There was a very topical issue, a statement that was delivered on issues having to do with what has come to be called the Sakawa boy who engaged in fraudulent activities on the internet, and in contributing to that, some ministers, including the defense minister, share their experiences about how people impersonate them on social media, and the defense minister shared an interesting experience about how a journalist who he refused to name claims that he communicated with him on social media and paid 200 cedis to him on behalf of 22 people for them to be recruited into the Ghana Armed Forces. And so he brought them to his office one day, asking that they be enlisted because they had paid him the minister money, which eventually the minister says was not true. So the MPs are asking the security agencies to clamp down on those who are engaged in some of those social media theft and criminal activities as a way to avoid these criminal situations.
Joseph, thank you very much for that update. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, joining us all the way from Parliament with that update. So now you know it's not just a one-sided opposition from Parliament. We're getting responses as well from both NPP and NDC MPs, essentially both minority and majority MPs kicking against the planned construction of a new chamber there, including the Information Minister. Well, there is another group that's raising concerns, and that group is the Ghana Institute of Architects, GIA. They have concerns with the procedure used in the selection of the designer for the chamber. One of them is joining me now on the phone. He's president of the Institute, Richard Ni Dade. Mr. Dade, thank you for your time this afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon to you and to your cherished listeners.
So let's talk about the concerns that you have. Is it a different one from what seems to be the unanimous concern that the priorities is not a national priority at the moment, even though Parliament may need it, it is not a national priority. Otherwise, what are your concerns?
Okay, yes, you have it right that we are not looking at government priorities or what government wants to do. It's government's prerogative to decide to build or not to build a parliamentary building. But our concern is from the procedure and the process that was used in arriving at the designers to do this thing.
Right.
Right. The Procurement Act 663 is quite clear on the procedures that should be adopted. Right. There's a need to ask for expressions of interest, and thereafter with clear-cut criteria which the applicant would have to meet. And after that, there has to be an evaluation. And then you come up with a short list of consultants before you go into the real thing. Now, we have to date not seen any report. We have not seen it. As covering the whole process. We do not know on what basis or the criteria that was used to shortlist 3 organizations, one of which was a contractor who was ab initio clearly not qualified to take part in anything like of this nature. Right? This left with only 2. Now, the Architects Registration Council, which is a regulatory body, for some reason was asked by the Parliament to handle the process. So they could, or they should be able to give more details on the process. But from where we sit, we are very clear that the process has not been followed.
You believe that the process, the procurement process has not been followed, and you're seeking information. Now, this information that you're seeking, have you made any attempt to get it from, for example, Parliament?
Yes. Again, with all procurement procedures, when the results come out, they should be made public. This is a public project. It should be made public. So the onus is on them. There should be a publication. We have not seen such a publication, and so we cannot talk to that.
So
Now, I'm here with
I was just going to, before you introduce the person, I was just going to ask you whether you're willing to test the right to information, provision that it gives for citizens to seek information by seeking this particular information on the back of it.
Definitely. This RTI is timely, and it's one of the occasions that we can exploit. We can use it to our advantage. Yes, we are looking at transparency and fairness and equal opportunity.
You were just telling us about someone who is close to you and has some kind of information.
Yes. Actually, we're having a meeting. I'm with the Honorary Secretary now. Now, he was close to part of the process.
Okay.
And I'll just ask his Augustus Richardson. He's just here with me now.
So he knows what went on. What went on with the process?
Yes, part of it. So he will address that issue. He's here with me now.
Okay, let's make this quick. Briefly, Mr. What's the name again? Sorry,
Augustus Richardson.
Mr. Richardson. Mr. Richardson, brief us quickly on what you know about the procurement process that went into the choice of a designer for the chamber.
Yes. Thank you so much, and my greetings to you and your cherished listeners. I think that a process was started by Parliament towards acquiring this facility, and in that process we got invited to participate together with the regulator in attendance, with the Architects Registration Council. Eventually we did inform Parliament that the right procedure was to get the Institute to really look at the selection process, but we got informed that that process had been done by the Parliamentary Board, and that the three who had been elected or shortlisted were to participate. We immediately found a problem there, and in that process, one of them got disqualified because if you know about design competition, the people must be registered architects in this country to participate in government projects or government projects. So immediately one of them was disqualified, which left about two of them. And generally, it just brought to worry the method that has been used to procure even the people who were going to do the competition. Indeed, the people that we elected to sit on that committee also brought those reservations, of which I was attendant to the earlier meeting, and these were put forward. These were also sent to the Parliamentary Board and made very clear. As we sit now, we all got to hear about this like everybody else in the public. Almost about, if I'm not wrong, about 4, 5, or 6 months since they met at the beginning of the year. So it is very worrying.
But Mr. Richardson, you were part of the people who were supposed to review this conversation. Did you raise this concern there, and what response did you have?
Yes, please. I did raise the concern, but I would say that the best person to have speak to this is the Registrar of the Architects Registration Council, because she was given the mandate to run this, which we try to manage internally, from our side. But I think that she's the best person to speak to. But we did raise our reservation on the methods that have been used to procure. Because you see, in doing these things, if it's done properly, you get a lot of advice on the price of the project, government's price and where it wants to go. The project defined properly, and so on and so forth. But, so that you can get value for money, because when you look at public procurement, that's what it's about, right? It's taxpayers' money. You want to ensure that there is value for money and that the right things are being done. But immediately we saw these issues, we raised those concerns in that meeting, which was minuted. And I think that, we sit where we sit today. So basically that is.
But you are not, you're hoping to take this matter further, the architects, you're hoping to take this matter further?
Yes, we are making a press release on this issue. That is ahead of us. So hopefully next week, the Institute, the Council of the Institute will be making a press release on our standpoint on this. And hopefully, I'm sure the right things will be done to ensure that we move forward. Yeah.
Mr. Richardson, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Also, on the line that I spoke to earlier is Richard Need Dade. He's president of the GIA.